Generational wealth. It only gets better. This is part one. The first blog post of our real world financial series we're creating. And Marie from PA writes the first blog. So we're going to read this. It's fantastic. All right. By Marie from PA. And she titled this. She did everything. There's a couple of things I had to, just small. I think there was a couple small typos that I changed. It wasn't anything much. I just, Google Sheets or whatever Google Docs said, you need to add an apostrophe here or something. I can't remember what it was. Just that was it. All right. If you believe the financial media, that they would lead you to believe that you need millions and millions of dollars for retirement. Let's look back at my own prior two generations and see how they did it. My grandparents were married for more than 50 years and had 5 children. Early on in the marriage, my granddad worked on a farm, and then after having kids, he moved his family into town and worked on a family until he retired. My grandmother was a homemaker and cared for the children. Her method of saving for her children was to buy them savings bonds. Interesting. Every birthday and Christmas, she would hand my father and his siblings each 100 worth of savings bonds. This continued on to her grandchildren. I also remember getting savings bonds every birthday and Christmas. From my recollection, my grandparents stayed in their home until they passed approximately at 70 or 80 years old. My father was discharged from the Army and soon after married my mom. My mother told me a story about buying their first home in 1950. Didn't have much money, so they purchased a home that was in need of repair and was close to work, the same factory that his father worked at. Something similar in Western PA here. Long generational, multi-generational planning. The home was less than $10,000, mostly due to the fact there's no heating system in the house. Over the next months, my father and his father and brothers worked on the house and added a heating system. The heating system was purchased from the savings bond that his mother gave him when he was a child. He also worked at a factory for 39 years. My father worked in a union and later on in his career became a union boss and helped negotiate contracts for the union. In doing so, he negotiated pay raises for his co-workers and income for retirement years. Those were the years when unions were very influential or able to negotiate a good pension for retirees. He also worked a second job in the summertime washing windows. This money was used for vacations for the family, a trip to the beach, and a fishing trip to Canada. It's sad what the unions did because it's just sad, frankly, because unions were so needed. Union workers were hard workers. There's still some, I grant you, but nowadays, everyone has an experience of a union guy not working that hard because the union protects his income. It's just sad, man, and too bad because it's just back in the day you worked hard, man. You worked hard, and it seems like it's not just unions, man. I'm not bashing unions, but reading these stories, like, oh man, those days have come and gone. That's sad. Of course, there is the union sector and private workforce is gone. It's all government workers. We know that a lot of the government workers, they join the union to be protected. That's all there is to it. It's sad. Look, and this is not a bash on unions. It's not a bash on government workers. But you know what the issue is. Everyone knows about this, about people not working that hard because the union will protect them. Just give an example. Let's just put it this way. Someone near and dear to my family was a post carrier, a letter carrier for the post office. A tall guy, long legs, like 6'4". So he would get his route done, and because they judged you on steps or whatever. I can't remember, but it was he basically doubled the production of the guy that who used to do the route because he was taller and he worked hard. He worked like a freaking crazy man. Anyway, long story short, the union guy said, "Hey, slow down. You're gonna make us look bad." He goes, "Dude, if I can be done by noon, I'm going home." Because he said, once I'm done, I can go home. And he always got good money at Christmas. He always had good, customer service skills or whatever, the surveys and whatnot, whatever they did. And no problems because he worked his butt off. He got it done. He had the rest of the day off. But the other people in the union said, "Don't do that. You're going to make us look bad and we're going to have to work harder." There you go. All right. My mother was a teller at a local bank. I remember being asked if I had any extra money in my bank account. Back in the 70s and 80s, CDs had high interest rates. So I remember squirreling away any extra money I had into CDs and locking the rates in for 1 or 2 years. Education was important to my parents. My brother chose a 4-year degree and I chose a 2-year. Since I graduated 2 years prior, then I was given 2 years free room and board, and I was also told to save that money for the future. My parents stayed in the same house until they passed away in 2003. My brother and I were surprised to find out my parents had saved over $100,000 over the years. We were surprised because we lived a simple life and took yearly vacations, and they also paid for our education. With a portion of my inheritance, I put a down payment on a house and started a Roth IRA. I also worked for a company for 40 years, starting in 1981 and ending in 2001. No, that wouldn't be ending in 2001 because that's not 40 years. Probably 2021. Shortly after starting, I was offered a 401k plan with a 3% match. It was auto deducted from my paycheck every week. Sounds great, but life happens and I got distracted from saving money. Charging things on credit cards at high interest rates was one distraction, and the other was continuing to buy a new car every 2 to 3 years. I called that my lost decade. Luckily, I found Dave Ramsey who helped me get out of debt. I'm now refocused on retirement savings. This leads me to several years ago when I was looking on YouTube for financial help, learning about the types of mutual funds for pre-retirement and then retirement, and how to estimate retirement income that is really needed. That's where I found here, Josh, right now. Josh is the most down-to-earth financial dude on YouTube with many years' experience. He has just reaffirmed what my past two generations has taught me. To live simple, stay out of debt, and live below your means. I tell you, look, I'm the biggest hypocrite in that. Just trust me on that. Compounding interest will benefit you in the long run for retirement savings. Looking at my 401k now, I never would have realized how much it's grown. Yeah. Looking at my 401k now, I would have never realized how much it's grown, 100%. So remember this. Learning about okay, my past two generations taught me to live simple, stay out of debt, and live below your needs. Union guy, bank teller. It's just the same old story, man. But do they have a good life? Yeah, they did have a good life. I guarantee. Do they work hard? Yeah, they worked hard. That's what it used to be in America. And if you're watching this channel, I'm telling you, you're following my channel, you're part of that. You're part of that. You work hard. I guarantee you. There's no one here that's lazy, man. No one is. And it's not the hard work that's the problem. It's the spending. It's just the ease of spending. That's what we got to get under control. I'm going to do another video here just a second. It's going to be interesting along these same lines. Man, simplicity. Keep it simple, stupid. Watch the spending. Look, I tell this to myself too. Trust me. All right. Thanks, Marie, for the blog post. If you guys got stuff like this, let me know. I'd love to. I don't want to go to back and forth with you about how to do it. I don't want to edit it. I mean, all that stuff. I'll edit it to make sure it's not stupid. But I don't want to. I don't have a desire to get and just send it to me, and I'll use it or I won't. One of those two things. In this case, I said, and always tell me how you want to be labeled. If you want to be Marie from PA, or if you want to be, I don't know, if you want your name and you got a backlink, i.e. a website, I'm happy to do that too, man. Just let me know. All right, we'll see you guys. Thanks again. Thanks, Marie.